Welcome back to MH Blackwell, and in this video, we are going to talk about the assassination of Bill Cosby and the black middle class. And the reason that I'm talking about it is because of what I have noticed as it relates to the presidential election with Kamala Harris. And a lot of the things that have been said about Kamala Harris, a lot of the observations that have been made about her and her profession as a prosecutor, as a senator, also conversations that we've had recently around LeBron James and his son, Bronny James, and the Lakers apparently bending over backwards to bring Bronny James into the NBA. We also have clearly, an epidemic of absolutely garbage music, messages in music, in hip hop and otherwise, the rise of Sexy Red and Meg Thee Stallion and all of these seemingly consistent themes in what is now considered the culture. And this particular topic may be a little bit dated with Bill Cosby and black middle class. Both of those terms seem almost as if they existed in a different lifetime. And what I see is that there has been an over focus on extreme success or extreme poverty. The idea that it's going to be everything or nothing. I have everything or nothing. I've come from zero and now I'm 100, and a complete ignoring of the most obtainable and the most important and powerful portion of any community of people, and that's the middle class. And I think that that's why we see, at least in the verbiage, such an angry outreach by these quote unquote black conservatives about values, about ideas of personal responsibility, issues around blaming the victim or having a victim mentality. A lot of these things I think are related to the complete ignoring and dismantling of the concept of a black middle class. And now to get into the explanation, and I hope this is not a little too professorial, I gotta go back a little bit to when I was growing up in the early 1980s, late 1970s, early 1980s, when there was always a real push to work away from ideas that made the center of Black America look like it was in the ghetto, or look like it was immoral, or look like it was a bunch of thieves and con men. And those that were very, very typical of when Black people were trying to break into the media. At first, early on, it was, the minstrels, the tap dancing, the overt, cooning and buffooning of people like Step and Fetch It, right? But over time, Step and Fetch gave way to Sidney Poitier, right? But Sidney Poitier was a outstanding, always played early in his career, a middle-class educated guy. But then it shifts to Black exploitation and pimps and hoes and that 1970 Black exploitation, right? Then up into where I was growing up, and you started seeing it in television, where the first real television you saw Bill Cosby. He was out there with I Spy And then it kind of goes down a little bit to now, oh no, we Sanford and Son. We're talking about a broken family in the middle of literally living in a pile of garbage. Very funny show. But if you look back on it, it is literally that. It is a picture of an old, failed man in Fred Sanford, who is raising an only child, an only child and is a widower, obviously a broken family, with them trying to figure out what thieving scheme they'll be able to get over, right? All of that. And then it moved also into Good Times. But then to move forward, there started being really big breaks, like the Jeffersons, where they moved on up to the penthouse. But now it's way up there, right? Into business owner. And then we saw pictures of Bill Cosby, which is probably the most significant one, of a doctor married to a lawyer who had kids that had no doubt that they were going off to college. Firmly middle class. Then you had movies about college and school days that led a lot of people to including myself, to HBCUs and then you listen to the music, and there's always this real push to even talk about things that were political, and where I would say that is not, a crime-ridden type of rap, but more one that was more, respecting an education and like with Professor Grip and all of that. But now with pretty much the assassination of an idea of a black middle class within our culture, where you hear you hear people talking, and there's always been the case, poorly on going to school, poorly about lawyers, and not understanding what it is that a lawyer does. When you have somebody that is a prosecutor, a policeman, or you have somebody that speaks out and starts talking to you about family, starts talking to you about the things that really do allow you and enable you to be successful every day, and you look down upon those people like that is not something to, like, your focus needs to be to get there. The focus in my personal opinion, and what I've found helpful in, my life, has been that you have to focus on being able to be a man or a woman that takes care of your family, that is raising your kids, that is there for them, that is instilling in them a concept of morals and work ethic that's going to allow them to continue and set up and work in their life. Now it seems as if, and I hear this quite often, we're here talking about what kind of wealth do I need? I need generational wealth, right? It's either you are and oftentimes the message comes across to me as if you're either going to be in the hood, in the trap house, or you're going to be out here with generational wealth. And even then they define generational wealth in a way that where it's that's really not what it is. Generational wealth, in saying, hey, man, I want to have so much money that my kids, and my kids' never have to work. Well, if they don't work, if they're not achieving, what are their lives going to be about? They're going to work. They're going to do different things. So not your message to your children, or your legacy for your children, and your wealth that you give your children is not just the money that you learned how to make, but it's also, and the family that you took care of, but it's also giving them the tools to allow them, no matter what their particular choice of profession is, or what their God-given talent is, and the relationship of that God-given talent to extreme wealth, that they will have the ability to live a life that is relatively comfortable, not free of challenge, but when they experience the challenge, they overcome the challenge. And that is what middle class people have been. Our typical, the largest number of people that are successful in doing that reside within the black middle class. Whether they're doctors, lawyers, garbage men, truck drivers, sanitation workers, engineers, military personnel, the professions and different avenues to exist with engineers. I could go on and on. All exist within the Black middle class. And that is the entity, the group within Black America that will always have the most power, the most financial power, the most political power. Look at how when Kamala Harris wants to run for the president of the United States or runs for the president of the United States, who are the first group of Black people that she called? Did she call the Congressional Black Caucus? No. She called the Divine Nine, which is the Black Greeks and sororities who are ensconced in and diffused through the Black middle class of the entire nation. And it instantly resulted in her having a much better response from the Black community than she did before. She reached out to them and people acknowledged that she was a member of it. But anyway, to me, it's just this very, very interesting as I have this channel and I start looking more at what's going on a day-to-day basis. There are some things that young folk are really teaching me. I can't lie. It's very fun. And I'm not saying that all things in the 90s are better now. There's a lot of young people that are really, really, really doing things, entrepreneurial things on YouTube and in different places or in corporations, and they're all over the place. But the majority of these people are young people that exist within the Black middle class. And if what their goal is middle class goals, middle class values, raising a family, educating your family, believing that your legacy are your children and your grandchildren and what they think of you personally, and knowing that you provide, as long as you provide for them and you raise your little nation of your family properly, that they can be there for you when you need them. And that is a wealth that they can give back to you when you need it as you get older. And I'm very, very happy that is what my parents were able to accomplish with the children that they have. And that is what almost not every one of my siblings are trying to accomplish with the children that they have. And as a result, there's been generations and generations of people that have been able to pay their bill, that have been able to help be there and help each other out when they get sick or when somebody loses a job or when, people get old or opportunities present themselves. And they need assistance to actually get opportunities that they wouldn't have got if those people weren't there. All of those things that family and being firmly in the middle class allows you to have a family. Being broke, it's very tough to do a lot of this stuff. If you in jail, right? You in jail or you seriously broke, it's tough. And that's the network that the community, that individuals in the community need around them. And to the extent that it expands into something that is across a state or across a country or across the world, so be it. But it still has to start there. And as long as we celebrate either complete failure or opulent wealth, you're just looking right past the goal. Because the goal is to do what? Is to live a constructive and productive life. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.